Great. Thanks so much, folks, for tuning in. My name is Matthias. I use he, him pronouns with the Stop LAPD Spine Coalition. And today, Tuesdays are when the coalition has our general meetings. And the first Tuesday of the month is focused on our fight against the policing of gender and sexuality. Just a quick rundown of the rest of the month. Next Tuesday is going to be our War on Youth. The third Tuesday is our general meeting, which has been in person as of late. And then our fourth Tuesday is our data-driven policing fight. And we typically take a break if there's a fifth. But yeah, so today, we're delving into our gender and sexuality fight. We've got a couple really great guests I'm excited to hear from and talk with and hold space with. I guess we can introduce them right now. We've got New Diamond, Tsukuru, and I think Serena will be logging on from DWAC. But yeah, before we do some formal introductions from them, I'll be co-facilitating this meeting with my comrade, my dear friend, my homie Meraki, who's also on our coordinating team. So I'm going to pass it off to them to introduce themselves and provide folks with a grounding question so we can all get to know each other a little bit. Take it away, Meraki.
Thanks, Matheus. Hey, everyone. My name is Maraki or Meraki. I use she, they pronouns. And yeah, just wanted to get us started, with a little bit of grounding. Figured folks could throw it in the chat or come off mute if you feel inclined to share your name, your pronouns, and question is, what's your favorite Halloween costume? We are sticking with the theme of the past couple weekdays, right? So yeah, I guess I can start. Shoot, I forgot that I'd have to share. I'm Meraki, I use she, they pronouns, and favorite Halloween costume that I saw this year was somebody dressed up as one of those like big inflatable things that are in front of car dealerships. And I've always wanted to be that for Halloween. I was so jealous when I saw someone had done it. So that's me. Other folks can either come off of mute or share it in the chat, however you feel. Yeah, the space is yours.
Hi, my name is Tori. I use she, her pronouns. This is my first time at one of the meetings, so I figured I might as well break the ice and introduce myself. I was at a Halloween party last weekend and a couple walked in and they were dressed as, I don't know what the name is, but the people that wear teal in The Handmaid's Tale. And I told them they were the scariest ones in the room and they agreed.
I can go next. Hey, everybody. My name is Hamid, the he, him with Stop LAPD Spine Coalition. I didn't get a costume, but I kept on thinking that for this Halloween, if I was going to get something, it'll probably be like a vaccination because our lives are so driven by vaccinations and shots and everything else. And, so just sort of wear something which could be a vaccination. I don't know how that'll be, but anyways, never mind.
New Diamond is in the chat suggesting we popcorn it to the next. New Diamond, if you want to hop in there.
Oh God, that's funny. Really? I didn't mean popcorn it to me. And I would go on camera, but I can't because I'm nude. So I've had a long day, and when I get home, everything comes off. I don't give a fuck. Okay, so I had a very long day. So anyway, and I love looking at myself anyway. So anyway, yes, I was asked to join this Zoom meeting, myself and Shakru. I don't quite even know. I mean, I read my email. I know that I'm here to discuss Transgender Day of Remembrance and that part of that, which is very dear to me because out of many things I do, that's what I'm a major advocate for is femicide against Black women and Black trans women. And but I'm passionate about femicide in general. Okay, let me be clear about that. All femicide. It's just that the Black femicide is higher. It's the highest, and so we have to discuss it. Even when we talk about Black on Black crime as well, from a racial cultural standpoint of view. So anyway, so besides my music and my activism, I'm also a student at MI, College of Contemporary Music at in Los Angeles. I start in the winter actually, so I'm excited about that. So anyway, so I'm going to, well, I go by she, hers, and I'm gonna popcorn it too. Let's see. Now I love this. I don't want to say her name wrong, but I love the way it's spelled, Jamilet.
Hey everybody, thank you so much. My name is Jamilet, and the best costume I've seen for Halloween was actually this like really beautiful person dressed up like Veneno. I'm not sure if y'all have seen it, but Veneno is a really great show. It's about a trans woman who was one of the first trans women that came out on television. And so somebody actually dressed up like Veneno and looked like Veneno. So I was just like, oh my God, like I was just like freaking out. So that was the best costume. And my pronouns are she, her. So happy to be here. And I'll pass it to, I believe Grace has not gone yet.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Grace. I use she, they pronouns. I've been really into any kind of like Tim Burton style costume. I feel like I've seen on social media like people getting really creative with that style of makeup, and I really love it. So yeah. I'll popcorn to Ben.
Hey everyone, I'm Ben. I use they, them pronouns. It's also my first meeting, so really stoked to be here. I've been like the moon for, I don't know, a few years now. And, you know, the moon is beautiful. She's cute. She's like a fun costume. So I guess that's my favorite. All popcorn, Gia.
Hi, thank you. My name is Gia. I go by they, them, she, her, he, him. My favorite costume that I saw yesterday, I really love just those like big inflatable dinosaur ones. It's like, I know you're having a hard time inside there, but like I appreciate you for doing it anyway. Just wanted to let y'all know too that I am the outreach coordinator for Gender Justice LA, and that we are providing like a lot of PPE resources, COVID-19 resources. So like rapid tests, masks, hand sanitizers. If y'all need like all these resources for your events, like please contact me. I can drop my email in the group chat. I'll also drop off some other links for us as well. We have our 20-year anniversary coming up on November 29th. Yeah, please hit me up if like y'all need like COVID-19 resources for your events or like just in general. And I'll pass it on to, I believe Naoko hasn't gone.
Hi, I'm Naoko, she, they. My favorite Halloween costume this year was a little Argentinian soccer player, but she was my niece, so there's definitely bias there. Sorry, I joined kind of late, so I don't know who hasn't gone yet. But popcorn to whoever.
Hey, my name is Ray. I'm whoever. I didn't say anything, so I go by he, him. Thanks for everybody showing up. I really appreciate everybody spending your time here. So costumes, I'm afraid that me personally, I'm a little bit too literal. So doing costuming is like too, I don't know. I haven't gotten into the spirit of that, but I really appreciate people who do homemade costumes, make things on their own rather than just buying things modification or appropriating different costumes that I love. So I guess that's all I've got. Let's see, I'm not sure who else went since I came late also. I'll turn it over to, if somebody can assist me in turning it over to somebody. Thanks.
I guess I'll go because I think I'm one of few people who haven't gone yet. Hi, my name is Tsukuru Force. I am a non-binary trans masculine person. That's not a contradiction. That sounds like contradiction, but it's not. Anyway, so he, they, really honored and really glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. Okay, so costume. I am kind of boring. I think I didn't really go out last night. I feel like I'm getting too old for that. I'm 51, and you know, my kid is all grown up. So anyhow, but I guess I like witches because, you know, that's classic. And one of these days I would like to ace witch costume. So anyway, who hasn't gone? I don't know, Jamie? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I lost track. So whoever wants to go.
I went in the chat, but I can go right now. Hey everybody, Jamie, she, they. Nice to be here. Nice to see the full group. My favorite Halloween costume this year, well, I like all the babies. Whatever the babies are dressed in, I like what the babies look like. Whether they're cows or whatever. And then I always give lots of extra candy because I know the parents are eating the candy and they need it because they're probably not sleeping. So I saw a baby Carol that I really liked. But my favorite one for me has always been Princess Leia. There's something about wanting to be a rebel with a cape and a gun. But that's it. I don't know who's next.
You know, I got so excited about the costumes that I lost track of who's next too. So maybe we can just invite anybody who hasn't gone, feels inclined to. Unmute.
Yeah, feel free to go off mute, or if you're not feeling it, you can just put it in the chat. No stress to share your voice tonight. I know folks are probably tired too. I'll give maybe like 10 seconds for folks to come off, and if not, you can hit the chat so we can get started. All right, that was 10. So, all right, y'all. Thank you so much for sharing. That was really fun. It woke me up a little bit. I appreciate hearing all of your ideas of fun costumes and things that you've seen. The kid who wanted to be a lemon was really cute. So wanted to get started on our evening. I'm gonna quickly introduce our really awesome speakers who are here joining us today, and then give them the floor to give any introductory remarks and start us off. So we have joining us, and excuse me if I mispronounce your name, Tsukuru Force, who is the co-founder of TRAN, the Trans Radical Activist Network. They're a non-binary rights advocate. And New Diamond, also advocate against Black femicide, Black on Black issues, trans femicide, especially trans women of color, advocate for LGBTQ rights, youth homelessness, abandoned children, women with cancer, and domestic violence victims. And I just want to acknowledge that Serena, who's also a DWAC member and trans women rights activist, isn't here yet, but might be joining us later, so just want to appreciate them in the space. So I'm going to pass it to our dear comrades to give us maybe introductory remarks and get us started today. That's either Tsukuru or New Diamond. I'm not sure who's starting us off.
I'll go. I guess. Sorry. Hi, yeah, thank you for the introduction. My name is Zucker Force. As I was introduced, I'm a co-founder of very new group called Trans Radical Activist Network. We are primarily grassroots, I mean, totally grassroots activists, organizers, like nationwide network. The way it happened was we called October 1st, National Day of Action, to end violence and genocide on transgender people. Something like 14 cities across the nation participated. A lot of people who have never organized before in their life wanted to organize because we really, as a community, feel the need. Our lives are threatened, our existence is threatened. So but a little bit about me, I came out, or well, to be exact, I started my transition last year at age 50. Losing my job of 20 years actually gave me the opportunity to come out and start transition. And I'm very happy about that. But as I, delved into the community, trans and non-binary community, and started to learn, how dire the situation is, violence, discrimination that we face. I really felt that, as an organizer, activist, who have been involved in anti-war, anti-nuclear movement for many years, I must use my experience and tools that I gained over the years to advocate, for our community and fight frankly, fight, hate and violence that has become so prevalent in this country. So thank you so much.
Okay. So, all right. So, like as I said before, now Serena is actually the one that is over with LA Can, over the transgender amendment. So I don't actually know a lot of details about that. I know that I've been told we're going to do a panel and stuff like that. So I don't know much about that, but I'm going to speak on, like I said, when it comes to trans femicide and Black femicide, it is the highest. Now, when it comes to cisgender women, it is noted that it's noted that by stats that now it's lower. So every 4.5 hours, a Black woman is murdered. And usually it's by a partner. And with Black trans women, it's the same thing. Very high. I haven't found yet the stats of broken down to like point this or point that for trans women. But I do know, like, for instance, in 2018, we had 26 Black trans women that was murdered that year in a violent attack. And most of it was by someone they knew. The other was just pure hate crime. And I myself have experienced gun violence. Thank goodness it didn't land to where I'm dead. But and more than once. And one was from a spouse too. He is very abusive, very deadly. And he did tell me he was going to kill me and bury me and nobody was going to find me. And so I know what it's like to be in violent domestic situations because I was one that was in one. I'm going to read this as well. Let's see right here. The increase in violence within our community that's specifically targeted against Black women and girls, of course, Black transgender women, hit homes for many reasons. My passions are to advocate about these murders, especially for trans women, because most of the time these cases go unaware, people are not even aware of them, or if they do make it to the courtroom, the assailant is not prosecuted for his crime. And this is another thing too. And just recently, I was going to talk about what's happened in 2018, 2019, but you know what? In 2022, we've had so many young Black trans women murdered just this year. And I've only seen one where it's now went to court. I don't think that he's been sentenced yet, though. But you know, there are, and they're young. They're like 17 years old, 20 years old, 22, 26. I mean, they're young, and it's a shame that whether it's a hate crime or whether it's a lover's spout, you know, this is awful. And you know, that's why I'm doing my best, and I will when the universe says so, to work with our trans youth, because not only do they face suicidal thoughts, you know, that they have to deal with everything's going on, with their rights being taken away as our trans youth. Um, they have to also deal with the fact is that and when you're a child, you don't really have much say so. You're living with your parents, and you know, you don't have any big brother, big sister to look up to that's trans, to say, no, you're normal, you're loved, you just who you say you are. And so in my near future, I do want to start a big T program, a big brother, big sister, big T brother program, in the future. You know, the vision is here, the plan is here. When the money comes and the way comes, we're gonna do that. But I don't want our trans youth to feel like they have no one. Because tell you what, they got more resources than I had when I was a young person. And it's here. And I'm here, and you're here as the elder sibling. And we've got to be there for our youth. Because if we're not there leaving a legacy for our youth, and not just a legacy, but love for our trans youth, being there in an intimate, what I mean by intimate is on a personal relationship with our trans youth, saying, you know what, you got a big sister here, you got a big brother here, I'm here, I've walked your shoes, and you ain't got to walk the same shoes that I walked, exactly. Because right in today's time, trans people are more accepted in college, more accepted in things that when I was younger, I was afraid to go to college. I went to college, but I quit because of several reasons, because I didn't want to be there among the other people, if that makes sense. And it wasn't as, well, they just got more rights that we fought for. They got the benefits of that. But we got to keep on fighting for them, but not just fight for them and just let them on the wayside. No, we have to be there so they can hold our hand. You know what I'm saying? Because we know what we face. So imagine what they face as our youth. And who knows them better than us? Who knows what they feel better than us? Okay, even their biological parents wouldn't understand, even if they love them. You can have parents that love you as a trans child, but still can't relate to that child the way that we can. So we've got to be there for our trans youth. And I mean the whole LGBT, but right now I'm talking about the trans community. You know what I'm saying? We've got to be there as elder siblings for our trans youth, so that they know that you can go to college. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can do your sex work if you want to do that, but I'm gonna teach you the tools of so that you're safe while you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna teach you how to do it to where you're safe, and you ain't got to be in the streets like many of my sisters were and got killed doing that street work. We don't want you to do that. So I just want to focus on our trans youth as well. So, okay.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, Matheus. Thank you both so much for sharing and giving us, you know, just a snippet of sort of the advocacy and the passion that you bring into this movement. Wanted to start off by asking you both, and maybe Tsukuru, you can start off, and then New Diamond, you can also respond. What are your thoughts on some of the anti-LGBTQIA and particularly anti-trans legislation that's been sweeping the nation? Can you also maybe speak on the history of the trans rights movement in America and where it stands today, especially in relation to fighting these anti-trans legislations?
Yes, thank you. So, yes, I will speak on the my feelings and my thoughts about anti-trans legislations that are really, you know, popping up all over this place in this country. And I think I will leave the history part to New Diamond because another thing about me, I'm originally from Japan. Not to say I can't really comment on the history of, transgender and LGBTQ plus, in the United States, but much of it I learned from my peers, and I am still learning. So, I will just leave that part to New Diamond to speak on, but needless to say, so about the legislations, needless to say, I am very, 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 very alarmed. Okay, so I mentioned in my introduction that we as a group called to do, this National Day of Action on October 1st. And that was actually inspired by the Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill, which was introduced on August 19th, I believe. So when I heard the news, I think I learned it through Twitter, actually. I was on the bus coming back from advocating for this victim of Asian hate crime. We had a court date, and I attended the court date in Van Nuys, and I was coming back on the bus, and I happened to see this Twitter feed about the legislation, MTG's bill, and I was just, I don't know, I can't even describe how I felt. I became numb first. I felt very, very cold inside, and then I was outraged. I was outraged, and at that moment, that was the moment I decided that I really do, we as a community really have to fight back, as if our life depends on it, because it does. Because that bill was really, really denying our existence, denying our right to live, right to exist as transgender and non-binary people. So so I think, at this point, probably everyone here knows, but MTG's Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill, essentially calls for not only banning gender affirming care for youth, but really, banning federally funded gender affirming care for all people, and also barring colleges and universities from teaching gender affirming care. And last part of it, any foreign doctors who have performed gender affirming care cannot obtain visa or enter the country. So in essence, that will erase, that will kill off transgender people, because nobody can transition any longer. And another federal bill, I believe that was introduced last week by Mike Johnson out of the congressional representative out of Louisiana. That's a very, very affirming bill, alarming bill as well, because this bill called Stop the Sexualization of Children Act, really, it does, okay, so first thing it says, that teaches gender identity, sexual orientation, stuff like that to children, but it's actually, so some people are calling it the federal version of Don't Say Gay bill, but it actually goes farther than that, because it talks about exposure. It talks about banning any, preventing any children from being exposed to sexualization. And what they mean by sexualization is, stuff like teaching inclusivity, gender identity, sexual orientation in classrooms. So this actually, depending on the interpretation of the bill, potentially really makes transgender people unable to be employed at any workplaces, any programs that have direct contact with children. So it's a really scary stuff. So no transgender no transgender teachers, no transgender medical professionals, no librarians, no therapists. Yeah, it really is frightening. So, and And I just wanted to point out one another thing before I pass it on to New Diamond. So, I mean, the languaging of the bill really, has caught my attention, because MTG's Majority Taylor Greene's bill, that's a God, I'm sorry. It's sorry, I really kind of actually blanked out. The point is, so the Mike Johnson, I said, as I said, Mike Johnson's bill is to stop the sexualization of children act. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is to protect Children's Innocence Act. So, really, I mean, the title is very, very inflammatory. It really catches parents' attention. And that's really, that's really the sneaky and the very, very, I mean, I guess strategic way for, the haters to reach parents who may be genuinely concerned about the well-being of, their children. I mean, I can sympathize because I'm a parent too. I've raised my child who is 26 years old now. So I know, as a parent, what kind of concerns you have, what kind of worries we have, as we raise our children. So it really disturbs me that opposition is very, 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 very good at messaging. And I feel like, they are reaching the people in the middle very successfully. And I'll speak on that a little bit later more, but that's really concerns me right now. So thank you very much.
Okay. So, that was good listening to you. Yes. So, okay. So you covered that half. So, politically, I would say this much on the then I'm gonna get to the history of what I understand. Is that I know that there is over 200, close to over 200, like 20. Well, I know it's over 200 bills that are already sitting there that they're waiting to pass against transgender individuals, just sitting there waiting to go to the Supreme Court, already written, already ready to go. I don't know the details of that, but I do know I was speaking to a colleague of mine, and because she's the deep political one, and so she expressed that to me. So that's scary if you really think about it. They're trying to undo things that were already done. You know what I'm saying? Over 200 different, and then add new ones, I should say, as well. So it's very challenging. Now, as far as history goes, I would say first of all that I'm sorry, L. I'm sorry, G. I'm sorry, B. I'm sorry, Q. I'm going to be biased and say that I think that trans people are some of the most powerful beings on this planet, because we step outside of, and non-binary people, we step outside of a construct, a social construct, a religious construct that says you should, if you're born this way, you should dress this way, act this way, do this way. And we say, fuck you, basically, in so many words. The little gay boys, okay, no offense to the gay boys in the church, but you can just kind of blend on in, okay, with the church folks. And even though they may know you're gay, and I'm speaking on Black dynamic, okay, because that's what I'm speaking on. You can blend on, you can be the choir director, you can do the makeup, and we'll just go right along with. But as soon as a trans person walks up in a religious setting of a Black church, you can guarantee, okay? I witnessed on YouTube, I wasn't there. I wish it would have been me, but she went to a church and they just really just, oh my God, they scorned her, ridiculed her. The whole church was laughing, and the preacher was mocking her in the pulpit. This was in Texas, in the pulpit, She was crying in tears. The security came to escort her out, and she was a Black trans woman. And so we have it the hardest. We're judged the harshest. I'll say it like that. And in the Black race, it's harsh. It's much harsher to us. Like I said, even my very own grandmother said to me, growing up when I was young and transitioning, she said, first she had a problem with me being gay. Okay, when she had a problem with me with that. Then, well, I started being more than just gay. And I remember the day when she came and said, why can't you just wear lip gloss instead of lipstick? I said, but you had a problem with lip gloss when I wore lip gloss. Well, I'd rather for you to go back to do that and be that than to be that. As the hypocrisy, the pretense, So as trans people, like I said, we have to be the boldest to go against your social construct rules that you created of how you should be and dress and act, and gender roles are this and gender roles are that, So we are the very epitome, though, of spirituality, because we are both. We realize that we are masculine and feminine, and those are energies. And when you can embrace both and walk it out in a physical form, you are living in a great spiritual power and depth. And that's why, even to be honest, we deal with discrimination from within the LGBTQ community because of that reason. I've talked to, now I am quote unquote, I consider myself to be quote unquote passive or whatever. And I have been inside of a gay bar and listened to gay men bash drag queens and trans women, talking about why can't they just be a man? Or why can't they just be a gay man? And I said, well, why can't you just be straight? Why can't you just be straight? Why can't you just be heterosexual? Why can't you? You got a mustache, he's got a mustache, and you kiss each other in public. And actually, you judge harsher, to be honest, if you want to be honest. Now, he didn't know my tea. He didn't know that I was a trans woman until I told him at the end, and everything, So we face judgment even from within the so-called LGBTQ community. And so that's why I said we have to be a powerful being to withstand mainstream society and also withstand our so-called family, you know what I'm saying, of the rainbow community. So, but our history shows just that. We know about Stonewall, the Stonewall riots, 1969. My grandmother made Miss Major Griffin Gracie. Yes, it is. So much work to be done. Major Griffin Gracie, I don't know if y'all know who she is, but she lives in San Francisco. She is in her 90s. Okay, I think she's like 90 or in her early 90s. And she's still alive. And she was one of the ones that fought in the Stonewall riots. So she's she's my trans mother, but she's a trans grandmother. She's a trans great grandmother. She is a matriarch of the trans community. And she's still alive. She's in, she's 90 years old, you know what I'm saying? But she's still alive, and she still texts me every now and then, or she gets her assistant to text me every now and then. But she was part of the Stonewall. And I love when I had her speak at one of my events in Vegas. And she came and she's like me. It's that I'm younger. And the older you get, you say what the fuck you say. And that's how I am right now. Okay. But, she walked in there and she said, why isn't the T in front of this building? Because, yes, she said, because I'm quoting now, y'all. Don't come at me. I'm quoting what she said. Okay. She said, y'all faggots don't do shit. And that's what she said. Okay. She said, it was us trans women and drag queens and men in high heel shoes that fought the police off. Y'all didn't do nothing. And at that, it was mostly people of color. Okay. So Because y'all run. Y'all don't fight, y'all run. It was us that fight. You know what I'm saying? You know? So I hate it when Hollywood, that's why I was part of the petition group, when Hollywood tried to put together this whitewashed Stonewall story. You know, it's like, are you serious? Are you serious, Hollywood? Are you serious? A bar full of white gay men. Are you serious? You know? So we protested and they did, you know, take it down, you know, and they didn't do another one. Why can't you do another one and tell the truth? Why you gotta lie about our history? You know what I'm saying? Tell the truth. So, but that was part of a very powerful trans movement. But now the word for like gender identity, gender expression, gender identity, that didn't come about to like the 1950s and through the 1970s. But before the terminology was here, we've been around. We've been around since forever. We've been around. In 1394, a guy in Europe was arrested because he put on a dress as a man and was doing sex work in 1394. Okay. Then we have like even if we want to talk about AD and BC, we have, you know, we can trace men and women both, you know, that were in same-sex situations historically. Kings, oh yes, we could talk about King James or King Imes of the Bible, okay? Now, to be honest, he was just a freak. But anyway, he did participate in homosexual acts. He did dress as a woman. He had several concubines, but none of his concubines was buried with him when he died. All of his male suitors was buried next to him when he passed away, including his favorite lover, St. Patrick. Okay, so, you know, so we didn't just show up in the 1900s, in the 2000s, you know what I'm saying? But the problem is that I keep saying I don't get why we're here in 2022 and we've been around, you know, like since everybody's been around, okay? And everybody is still trying to fight against us. And what's awful is I'll say, even the ones who fuck us, okay? Even the ones who lay in the bed with us and sleep with us as well. They don't come to our rescue because they're on the low. That's why I don't get with men on the low. And that's why I said I want to work with our youth to build up their self-esteem. You don't have to. If that man or that woman or that person doesn't accept you for who you are, you ain't got to settle for that, okay? Just because you want to, I know you want to be loved. That's why we got to love them. We got to love them. We got to love ourselves. And I think by loving myself, I do good when I help somebody else. So that's why I do that. But we have, I could give a whole lesson because I'm half Indian too. I could talk about the two spirit and the four spirits, you know, world as well. We have been around, you know, like I said, we run this shit. And that's why they want to take away our voice, our rights, our actual physical presence, you know, and we keep multiplying and multiplying, and they can't figure out what. So now we want to strip their rights. Then they strip their rights, and then maybe they'll go away, or maybe they'll change, and then again, the men who have interrelations with us, you know, I'm speaking on the trans women side. I know that there is also trans men who are murdered, who are raped, you know, who experience violent crimes as well, you know, again. And so it's time for us just to get louder about everything. Louder about everything. See what happened, and I told people this that follow me on social media when Obama was president and when Obama was done. Y'all get all excited when something happens. Oh my God, everybody's celebrating. We won. No, let me tell you something. The enemy never sleeps. The enemy never sleeps. So you got the gay men got the gay rights marriage. Oh, and look where we are now. Now they're talking about, reversing that as well, reversing everything. Look at what they did to women's abortion rights. Okay, but I said, don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep, because they're coming back. They're coming back. Okay, so but we've got to get louder and just stay loud, stay present, stay visible, stay unified. Stay unified. My big thing with community, and Shrew can tell you this, that even when it came to T-Door, I didn't want us to be splitting up, one person doing something over here and one person doing something over there. Let's do this together. We've got to do this together. That's the only way. The saying is true that a house divided will not stand. All right.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, New Diamond, for giving that rich history and telling it like it is. Thank you, Tsukuru, for sharing your insights on legislation as well. I wanted to briefly, before moving on to a different topic, you both already sort of touched on the impact that this is having on trans children. And I'd like it if you could share and just speak a bit more on the attack on trans children right now and the theft of their autonomy as youth, right? Something that, youth need to be able to be free to just be themselves. It affects their entire ability to develop into adulthood, right? Talked about being chastised for wearing lip gloss and lipstick. And yeah, I want to hear a bit more about that. But I want to give our comrade Jamie, I see their hand is up, so let you speak on that first, and then if y'all can answer that question. Jamie?
Yeah, actually, I think it's a really good segue into this conversation, the comments I was going to talk about right now. So I also wanted to bring in the intersex component of this. I'm an intersex woman. And I passed as a woman, but coming out as being intersex it was very interesting. It's actually in the Gender and Sexuality Committee here within Stop LAPD Spying that I first started to talk about my intersex experience. And so honestly, it's like, I feel like this is going to definitely lead into that. And for people who don't know what intersex means, it's pretty much just as often as you see a redhead, you have seen an intersex person in your life. And we actually think that people are probably more intersex than is documented or identified or categorized as people being intersex. But basically, we are people who are not born with binary or what would be considered the binary reproductive or sexual organs that a male or a female is supposed to have. So it can show up differently, like you can have gonads and a vagina, you could have gonads and be more femme presenting. Sometimes there are hormonal differences. Sometimes, it shows up in a lot of different ways. Sometimes like the way the shape of the reproductive organ isn't traditional. The clitoris can be longer, the urethra can be placed differently on the penis. So there's all these different kinds of like variations to how our bodies express our sexual reproductive organs. And it's quite beautiful and it's quite amazing to be an intersex person. I really have come to embrace who I am as a person and just realize how much it's made me who I am. And but what's interesting when we put this up against what is happening with trans children, but even just trans people, people who are gender nonconforming, anybody who wants to alter their body or change their body or make their body theirs, have body autonomy, is that because I don't know if this is interesting because I'm at the same time learning about this, but intersex children are more prone to surgical, what they call like fixing the child to look more female or to look more male. There's documentaries of children year after year after year being in tremendous amounts of pain during their summer because they go through these reconstruction surgeries at very, very young ages, super traumatizing. And there's more and more laws that are being passed throughout the United States that are permitting doctors to do these procedures. So these procedures are done without any medical necessity. Sometimes doctors would lie to parents and say, well, if we don't remove the gonads, they'll get cancer because the child was never born with, you know, a penis. And so they would say these things. And so that's happening, right? To children, to babies that are not being able to consent. And this is like babies, like, you know, you're talking about, you know, zero from being born to 5 years old, 6 years old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, without consent, you know, being kind of pushed into a surgery that they have not yet chosen to have, right? And I think that New Diamond has spoken about the space that we are giving our youth more now to be able to start making these decisions on their own, to know what, like, how to consent for themselves. And that's something that we are still practicing, but while we're trying to practice that, they are saying, no, that child cannot have the autonomy, while they're saying, yes, that child, we will decide if that child fully will be male or be female based on how we mutilate their organs and their reproductive organs. And so I realize, like, being an intersex person, it's really important that I talk about what that means, because it really dispels the binary, that there is no such thing as male and female. Like, the more and more they're looking into it, the more and more variations exist that just have not been able to be documented, right? That are not medically documented and probably don't even want to be exposed, because God forbid we find out that male and female isn't real. Like, it's all a social construct, right? And then, like, our attitudes and our emotions, I mean, how, you know, your gender expression is, what it's supposed to, you know, if you're acting more male, if you're acting more female, like, all that's a social construct too. Like, we're just people, you know, learning how to express the poetry that's inside of us, right? And so I really realize that it's super important that what we are talking about is a fight for consent and a fight for body autonomy, where, you know, all this stuff that's happening, it's really to reinforce a cis hetero patriarchy that's trying to demand, like, the control, and just how we're seeing in this webinar, this surveillance of our gender, this control and containment of our gender. And as much as, like, someone like me just dispels that biological binary, it's like, I'm going to refuse to even see that. I'm going to refuse that even exists. And yeah, and so I mean, I just really I'm enjoying this conversation a lot. And I think that, you know, when we, it's just important, we got to break it all, right? And that's the accountability part of, like, people that are, I feel, that are intersex and pass, or, you know, I've always felt like I love to talk to myself about myself as being a woman, but I need to talk about the fact that, you know, I had a gender affirming procedure and the freaking insurance tried to fight it. They were like, that's cosmetic, she doesn't have a right, when I knew, like, no, this is what I want, I really want this. And so it's brutal out there, but especially for the babies, you know, they're just not teaching them to have a real connection to their bodies, to know what it means to, like, live in it and own it, and to have that relationship. And then all kinds of, like, you know, we end up growing up with so many, how do you call it? Like, just issues of constantly being outside of our bodies, of dissociating because we've never connected to it. And I think one thing that I really, you know, I feel so grateful for being in the 90s when this was kind of coming to fruition for myself as a child, as a young teen or a teenager in the 90s, is that I was very supported by, like, a movement of intersex movement that was very robust, or that was starting to be very robust at the time, so that I was able to actually find physicians that didn't want to experiment on me. That was the other weird thing, is that people get really excited. And so when they, you know, because the medical industrial complex goes from denying you to wanting to experiment on you, and then to actually humanizing you and like walking you through a path of, you know, of having this relationship to your body. And so that's why our organizing is so important within this, not only, you know, to talk about, like, these laws that are existing, to culturally, you know, be supportive and out with each other, but then also too, to humanize us and realize that, like, you know, we're also not just, that we're not also just our identity, we're also like poets and artists. I'm a nurse. We're like these people that are very, you know, that are very important beings in the world, you know? So yeah, so I just really appreciate this conversation. And I think we need to really start to look at how many of these states that are passing anti-trans laws, especially in medical care, to see that these are the same states that are passing laws that allow them to mutilate children.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jamie. And feel free, folks, to just come off mute and have conversation. You know, this isn't too, you know, formally structured. So, you know, discuss.
I just wanted to really thank you, Jamie, you know, for yeah, I mean, whatever, you know, everything that she said, because so one of the things that you know, people have been pointing out, especially Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill, and also the Florida decision that came down on Friday to ban gender affirming care for youth, is that, you know, in a way, they are being very hypocritical because on one hand, they are saying that nobody can have gender affirming care, but then they are really, you know, okay about infants, you know, who cannot consent to be operated upon. So, you know, many people have been pointing that out, and we really, you know, that issue has to be brought up more, you know, because I think a lot of people don't realize that's going on. So, yeah, thank you, Jamie, for, you know, really bringing that up. So yeah, Florida decision on Friday. I actually, since I work from home right now, I was able to listen in on the hearing and public comment, and it was just really devastating experience to listen in because, you know, one after another, the way they structured the meeting was they prioritized anti-trans people to go first. So it was like one after another, you know, the testimonies from the transitioners and also medical professionals, you know, who are against the gender affirming care and all that. And then they cut the meeting short. Actually, they ended the meeting abruptly before we can get to pro-trans, you know, pro-gender affirming care people and their testimonies. So it was like so one-sided, and anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go into like my impression of the hearing because that's actually really the important part. But so there is, you know, as a non-binary person, the one thing that caught my attention, not only on Friday from the Florida hearing, but you know, things that have been being said, you know, about transgender people and gender affirming care, is that, so people talk about, you know, the opposition again uses languaging such as medicalization of children and forced sterilization, you know, mutilation, and these are the languages that people are using, the opposition is using. So they are against the medicalization of children, but at the same time, they are so vehemently and they're so aggressively against non-binary people as well. You know, they are against the social transition. They don't want us to social transition. So, you know, in some states, actually, I think it's Virginia right now, decision hasn't come down yet, but they are talking about, you know, teachers like do not, you know, teachers dead naming them, teachers not allowing, you know, people to use their pronouns. So these kind of things. So, you know, it makes you wonder, okay, so you are telling me that you can't really do anything medically on the body, but you know, we can't socially transition either. So that, you know, made me really wonder, okay, what's the root of this? What's the root of this? Because in my eyes, I think they are using, medical transition and gender affirming care as an excuse, because it's such an easy thing to, trick people into. It's really easy ammunition to scare people, especially parents, because, if you tell parents that your children can be hurt by this, of course, they'll be worried. Of course, they'll get serious, right? So I think they're using that as an ammunition. But I think what's at the root of it, is really, there are people who are very, very afraid of transgender people, non-binary people breaking this, binary structure, this patriarchal structure of society with, male on top, and women are really like, treated as secondary citizen. I mean, so I think that's what at the root of it, I just wanted to say, so one thing, I'm on a mission today, actually. And one of the mission that I came here with today was, although I'm actually probably speaking to the choir a little bit, because, you guys are already knowledgeable, but in states like California, where we live, I think people think that we are somewhat safe, because we are blue state and we are supposed to be liberal. But observing what's happening right now in California, I just want to raise people's alarm. I want to warn people that it's really not as safe as we may think. Because, I've been observing the opposition, and almost like every weekend now, almost every weekend, somewhere in California, there's an anti-trans event, anti-trans protest. And, people like us are trying to like put out the fires, organizing counter protests and stuff like that. Last weekend, CTA, California's Teachers Association, had a LGBTQ plus issues conference in Palm Springs. And there was an active threat. The opposition was organizing anti-trans protest. So quickly, I discussed it with LGBTQ Center of the Valley, of the Coachella Valley, and thankfully they really, they organized, they came together and organized counter protest. But it's like that, like every weekend, somewhere in California, there is an anti-trans event or rally, because there are really outspoken, aggressive anti-trans groups here. For instance, there's this group called Moms for Liberty. Moms for Liberty is actually a nationwide organization, but there is a group, a regional group in Coachella Valley, actually. And the woman whose name is Celeste Feeler, she's the leader. And she's doing things like calling police on Trevor Project, actually. There's been an investigation against Trevor Project because she and her group, members of her group, called the police and said, oh, in their chat group, there are like sexual predators, who are interacting with children, stuff like that. They are attacking the very, infrastructure that LGBTQ plus people really rely upon. They are attacking teachers as well. I spoke with the organizers at CTA, California Teachers Association, and they told me it's been years, since they started getting threats. Their organizers can't even, publish their names on website anymore, because people, they dox, meaning that, they leak their identity online, almost like sometimes go so far as to like reveal their addresses, leak their addresses and phone numbers so they can attack people, right? So there are stories like, the one of the organizers, her husband received a phone call at her home, and this person on the, on the phone said, I know what your wife does, and she should, she should stop what she's doing. So these kind of things, threats are issued against teachers and medical professionals who support transgender and non-binary kids. So, things are really serious right now. And I just want to mention one last thing. So I'm actually getting ready to go to Japan the end of the month to collaborate on art project with the feminist art group with the centering around the trans rights issue. And so I'm learning a lot about what's happening in Japan as well. But actually, what's happening in Japan and what's happening here are not that different. And why I say that is because there is, unfortunately, right now, this, putting trans people and especially trans women against women. So it's kind of like a women versus trans people, women versus trans women. And, we are made to believe that we are enemies, but we are not though. And that goes back to my original point, that I said earlier, that actually the issues that we deal with trans people, threats and risks that we have, living in this society are actually the same, very, very similar, if not the same, that women experience. When you talk about restrooms, people, women are not safe in the restrooms. Well, it's not because of trans people. It's because of society that are inherently risky, inherently dangerous for women. So we actually should be collectively attacking that issue and not make the issue about trans people because we are not the enemy, and vice versa. I think as a transgender person, we have to, as a community, we have to shift our thinking that women are not our enemy, even the ones that are saying negative things about us, because we are just made to believe that we are enemies. We are being pit against. But I think we have to ask the serious question that who is our enemy? Who is our real enemy? Who is our common enemy? And we have to join our forces together and fight that very true enemy. Because, really, at the end of the day, we are not, we are just made to fight against each other. So.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just tell the end and say that a lot of times what frustrates me is how the real predators, the sick fucks, who put on a dress just, to walk in the woman's restroom with the intentions of harming women or, hurting a child, sexually assaulting. It's happened plenty of times. And then the news come out and say transgender person rapes woman in bathroom, or transgender person assaults child, such and such, and so now this word transgender, from a guy who only, if you go to his closet, I'm sure he's got nothing but suits mostly, and he put it on so that he could get the access, you know what I'm saying, to go into a woman's restroom under the umbrella term transgender, but its intentions are to harm, okay, not to use the restroom, but to harm, and he's not living his everyday life as transgender, okay, but they'll attach the word transgender to this dude and then push it out there, and now people in the social world, because how people believe everything they see and read and hear and everything, and some of them already want to say that we're pervs anyway, you know what I'm saying? So that doesn't help at all. And I always get so mad when that happens. Oh my God. I'd be like, this person's not even trans. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, but they want to paint, that's what they want. I remember earlier in my life that when in the, what was it? Marvy Pavish and of course Jerry Springer, and a lot of shows would do these shows, or is it a boy, is it a girl? And I used to hate that girls would go on this show. Like, why are you giving them permission to disrespect you like that? I'm not gonna ever, condone someone defining me. Is it a boy or is it a girl? You know what I'm saying? I hated those shows. It used to irk the hell out of me. And I had a friend that went on the show stupidly, and I told her, I said, "Are you serious?" And then she went on the show just to get basically nothing. Okay, they only gave them a limo ride, a ticket to a club, all for the social embarrassment for yourself and for the whole community. See, every time I step in public, and I am a figure and growing up and going to be a bigger figure, and so I don't want the world to see trans people in a light of negativity. So I'm going to make sure that I represent well when I step out. So you see a classy woman for myself. Okay, I know I represent myself, but I also want to make sure that when people know, if they know, I don't care, they know it's a trans woman, they can say and I've had them say it. You are very classy. You're very respectable. You're this, you're this, you're that. And I ain't saying that we all got to be the same, but I want to make sure that I'm that light, so that if you say I'm trans, fine, what you're gonna see is dignity. You're gonna see everything that you said that you think I am, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? All those things, I'm gonna make sure that I represent. I'm not a pedophile. I am talented. God does love me the same way he loves you, else I wouldn't have the gifts. I'm a singer. If I was so cursed, then I wouldn't have the gifts that the higher power gave me. So we can't be cursed and blessed. It doesn't match. Okay. So I represent that. Okay. And I hate when they paint the picture by putting us in the light of something like that, like a rapist or someone who assaults someone and stuff like that. That is I'm telling you, that irks the hell out of me. Or when a gay couple, I saw a gay couple that was fat. Well, it was terrible what they were doing. They were taking their adopted children and prostituting them. That was terrible for anybody to do. And yes, it was a gay couple, but that's a rare occurrence from gay men who adopt children. That's a rare occurrence. That is nothing that's commonly known, but they'll take that and they'll push it out there in social media world. Here's a gay couple, they're freaks. They were prostituting their children that they adopted. This is why they shouldn't adopt. They put that narrative out there for that reason. So we got to deal with that too. Is that we got to fight politics. We got to fight in social media because it is a major tool they use today. So it's a fact, and I hate social media, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a singer, you know what I'm saying, but unfortunately, it's what we are living in today. So they're going to use technology to bash us, to dehumanize us, to demonize us at the same time. So we've got to stand against those conglomerates as well. Social media conglomerates that want to pull us down and make their own narrative fit what they want everybody else to believe. And we've got to stand and against that as well. Now I'm gonna say this real quickly because I actually tagged on to the crew, but speaking about the Trevor Youth Project, I'm going to, hold on, let me find it. I'm gonna read this right here. This is an article from May 5th, 2022, okay, from NPR. Nearly half of the LGBTQ youth seriously considered suicide, survey finds. Nearly half of the LGBT youth seriously considered suicide in the past year. The Trevor Project, and we know what they are, transgender and non-binary youth have considered suicide at higher rates than other LGBTQ youth. Transgender and non-binary youth, okay? It showed a chart here that says transgender boy, man considered suicide in the past year, 59%. Non-binary genderqueer considered suicide in the past year, 53%. Transgender girl considered suicide in the past year, 48%. Now, if I go back up, the ones who actually attempted suicide, transgender boy or man, 22%. Non-binary gender queer, 19%. And transgender girl or woman, 12%. Those percentages are quite high for 2022. For 2022. We are not even in what they call stone ages anymore. Yet we are still being fought against. We are still fighting and refighting. But unfortunately, we can't stop. As long as they keep, we got to keep. And that's just the bottom line. And that's why I said I want to be there for our youth. As I just read to you an article written in May, that's just right behind us in 2022, that our youth and adults have the highest suicide attempts or suicidal thoughts. So we've got to, again, get louder in every area: politics, public, social media. We've got to get louder and sterner, and we've got to get in unity. We've got to get in unity as a community. We can't do this. I can't. I talk to young trans girls all the time about this. Oh God, you know, who's passable, who's this, who's that. Oh my God, it's like, you know, does it matter? You know what I'm saying? You know, does it matter? Does it matter who got titties, who don't have titties? Are you fucking serious? You know, at the end of the day, you think you better than her? Like, are you serious? You know, so we've got to get unified as a whole community and as a T community, non-binary, intersex. We've got to get on the same ship. We've got to get on the same program together to fight in every element, and for ourselves and for our youth. Okay.
No, I'm so happy that you said that, and I'm happy that you ended it in that way too, of being on the same page. It leads me to the next question of allyship, which is a term that I feel always icky kind of saying, because we don't really want allies. We want people who are, you know, accomplices in this fight, right? People who are our comrades in this fight. But I'm wondering if y'all could just talk about, and this is again open to everybody who's on the call, but if folks can talk about what it is that we need from so-called allies, right, in this fight for trans right, in this fight for intersex right, and non-binary rights, and LGBTQIA plus rights in general. What do we need from them, and what role do you think that they should be playing in the fight for trans liberation?
I'm just gonna say, like, really very, you know, short statement. I just do feel that, okay, this is a desperate time. I just, you know, as actually New Diamond said just now, I think, you know, we need everyone to be louder. We need everyone to be vocal. Like, really, you know, this is not the time to sit back and just say, oh, it's terrible what's happening to trans non-binary people. We need everyone to be vocal. That means, like, you know, yeah, taking it to the streets, calling your representatives, I mean, whatever, you know, speaking on behalf of us too, you know, because I say that because, again, like echoing, you know, New Diamond, the opposition right now is very, very good in terms of, like, you know, they are unifying, and that's what's scary. So, like, back in it was like early October, I think, there was this thing called Unity Rally in Anaheim, California, which was a protest against the Academy of pediatricians, American Academy of Pediatricians, because they had an annual conference in Anaheim. So these anti-trans groups actually really across the nation showed up. I mean, mainly people from Arizona and California, but there were people from Canada, other parts of the country, and they called it Unity Rally. Because their thing was like, they are gathering, across the party lines, Democrats, Republicans. I don't know if it's true, but, what they're saying, non-religious people, religious people, yes, opposition is uniting together, which is very scary. And when I observe us, who are supposedly, who are supposedly be fighting together, I mean, people on the left, for lack of the better term, people on the left are really actually very difficult. It's so difficult for us to come together. I've been in the healthcare justice movement for years now, and if you actually look at healthcare justice movement, for instance, I mean, we may want the same thing, like Medicare for all or healthcare for all, but we can't agree on approaches. So our movement is heavily divided. So, it's the same thing. I think what's happening is, again, like, things like transgender and non-binary rights. I think right now it's a desperate time. We have to come together. We may have different approaches, whatnot, but it's really not the time to fight in a divided way, because, as New Diamond said, again, divided, we are weaker, together we are stronger. So just as the opposition is uniting, we really must unite, and we really must come together. It's not the time to have this like multiple movements within movement. So, yeah.
New Diamond, I see you in the chat. I want to hear you speak, but Hamid, I see your hand is raised too. Feel free to share.
Oh, I can wait till after New Diamond. They wanted to share their comments.
No, you go. I'll go after you. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I was no, thank you, because the term allies also is being used as can be deciphered as all lies as well. So allyship is always a very slippery slope as to how that is created and how people bond and what does solidarity look like. But I want to just maybe ask or maybe a comment or a question more from the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition's vantage point of surveillance and spying and infiltration and all. Because some of the stuff, for example, both New Diamond and Sakura you have shared, and also hearing Jamie talk about it, was that these programs, as you spoke about the mothers calling each other, or what was going on in Coachella Valley, this is what See Something, Say Something is. That how these laws and these programs in the name of national security have been created, but are being used very effectively to then target people, just who their disagreements and various other things. So then you get into nextdoor.com, some of these ways that information is being shared. So I think the other thing also want to raise is that how social media is being monitored. So going back to the violence against children, New Diamond, that you were talking about, that how youth and their social media is being constantly tracked. It's just basically they're being stalked by law enforcement, by various other forces as well. So I think I also want to just lift here that as a part of our movement building, just is really about abolishing and dismantling these programs, because many a times we get caught up into trying to reform these things, that this could be done in a different way, but that never works. So I'm really hoping that as the allyship we are discussing, that what are the ways that people continue to be criminalized, people continue to be traced and tracked and monitored and being stalked as well. So I just wanted to throw that in the conversation, that that's the thing that the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition really would love to build these partnerships and these allyships and going after these programs that make it extremely vulnerable. Thank you.
Okay, so all I was saying, it was, and I echo what I just wrote into the chat when, is that, California has, from what I've been told, it has a hate crime, law against anti-trans. But what I find is that it's not enforced. And so I wrote that term, rule of law, the definition, which is a principle under which all persons. Oh, thank you. Which all persons, institutions, and entities are accountable to laws that are publicly promulgated, equally enforced. And so that's another thing, good night. Another thing that I was just saying earlier is that, some states don't even have yet, we supposedly do in California, a hate crime law, but, are they being enforced? And also, are the cases in California are just everywhere? You know what I'm saying? That I've seen. Are they even making it to the court? Are they even looking for the assailant? Are they even, no, they don't care about trans bodies. They don't care unless you have money or a family that is pushing for your justice as a trans person. And for most part, especially in the Black community, it's already not accepted. So, lots of times when if you don't have, what's it called, a power of attorney, or a spouse, and that's very less likely, for Black trans people to be in relationships. It happens, but it's a rarity. Okay, so families will get their siblings' bodies and then bury them the way they want to. And in fact, sometimes purposely do what they know that their child would not want done. For instance, I knew someone that happened to when I was younger, lived her life as a woman every day. And when she passed away, her family put her in a suit and tie with tits. And, because they said, well, God made her as a man, and that's how you're going to leave here. Da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't have things in order and didn't have nobody. So, like I said, once again, we've got to be there to fight for us and to fight for our youth, because no one else is going to do it. No one else is going to do it, and that's a fact. We need our allies, and our trusted allies. We do need. But but guess what? An ally is just that, an ally. We have to be at the forefront. We have to be the one that voices, that speaks. We can't wait for someone else. We can't wait for, even in LGBTQ centers. Okay, we are not priority. Okay, we are not priority. Okay, we've got to make ourselves and our youth priority. We've got to do it. And those who are willing to be our trusted allies, of course, we welcome them in. We want them to experience the best way they can what we go through. They can never walk in our shoes, but they can be empathetic as our ally by being there, voicing. Like I said, like that saying goes, if and I mean, what's that saying that they have out there? I hear it all the time. If one right is, what's that saying? I've heard people say it. Something like, if we all are, oh my God, what's that? It's a cool saying. You don't know what I'm talking about? Secure rule. They're saying that they say, God dang it. I think it was quoted by, was it quoted by MLK or, oh no, his wife, Coretta Scott King. She has this quote. And basically what it's trying to say is that if nobody is free to all are free. So, so basically, that's why I tell people also, like, I'm concerned about a lot of things, trust and believe. I'm concerned about abortion rights. I'm concerned about Cuba. I'm concerned. There you go. Thank you. There it is. A threat to justice anywhere yes, that is it. Thank you so much for that. A threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Okay, so that's right there. Thank you so much for that quote. I took my brain. But anyway, so we've got to band together for humanity, all humanity. I'm out there with the women. Yes, you have a right to your body. You have a right to say what is your body. We don't own too much in this country because they don't want us to. Even when you think you own, you don't own. Okay, so our bodies. I mean, that's our own bodies. That God, the universe, the Creator, however you want to see your higher power. That's what we have. That's our possession. Is our body. So to tell somebody whether they can transition it or whether they can abort from it, it's like, are you serious? So this patriarchal, misogynistic, hypocritical, mountain, we've got to climb this thing and, what I'm saying, cause an earthquake to bring the shit down. And you can't do it being quiet or silent or scared. I ain't saying everybody gotta be loud like me. I'm not saying that either, okay? Because you can be a little voice and do powerful things. For real. They won't see you coming. They'll hear me coming. They'll hear me coming. They won't see you coming. I need you, the quiet mouse attacker, because I'm the one that's saying, here I come, I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? I need the ones hiding under the grass. Saying camouflage, but we really got to take this issue serious for ourselves and for our youth future. We really do.
Thank you so much, New Diamond. As a member of the Small Voice Society, we thank you for that uplifting. Jamie, I'm going to go ahead. I just wanted to note the time. It's late, so I don't want to hold folks all the way until 8 o'clock. Maybe we can try and wrap up by 7:45 if that works for folks. Okay, Jamie, go right ahead, friend.
Okay, so I kind of, with the question of like, what do we do? How are we accomplices? How are we, really showing up for our siblings? And so I was just listening to a webinar that just happened a couple hours ago. It was called Disability Care and Abolition. And so, but I was, in that space as a care provider, right? That was kind of like the hat I was wearing when I was there. And I think about, like, when we think about the assault that is happening to the right to transition, the body autonomy, when we think about the assault on body autonomy, whether it's to have an abortion, whether it's to change your body to whatever shape, form, whatever you want to do, a lot of that not resistance, but the framing around the morality of that, whether it's right or wrong, really happens in the health sciences. And it kind of really crystallized me. So it happens in two places, right? Not only in the health sciences and the training of medical professionals that are already starting to work from a binary perspective of when they're looking at the body, but then also in the institutions that criminalize the body once it comes in, right? Whether this is a good body, a disabled body, whether this is a binary, body, like, is it a male body? Is it a female body? And I was kind of like, that was coming together for me a little bit in that webinar of thinking about right now, one of the biggest things that, trans and gender nonconforming people need also is this intense allyship and accomplishment, I don't know if you can do that, but in the medical field, where nurses and doctors need to radically start challenging their medical institutions and the education. So in the educational systems, we should be challenging it, because I know I had started a nurse practitioner license last year, but dropped out, and now I'm back in. And one of the first things they said in the health assessment class was like, we're not going to get into gender nonconforming or trans stuff right now. We're just going to learn the body male, female. And right there, the violence starts. Right there, the dismissiveness. Right there, the lies all start, you know, that there is a male and a female body, right? And so in that, like, I think that as people who are privileged to be in the health science spaces and getting that education, they have to start rooting it out and saying something immediately. Not saying something is participating in that violence. And then also, like, thinking about structurally in the hospitals, like, nurses, doctors all play cops, you know, social workers, they all play cops, they all play the carceral role. So immediately when a trans or gender nonconforming person comes in there for whatever type of care they want, they're immediately identified and seen, right? That, you know, in a criminal lens, right? And this kind of goes back to what you were saying, Hamid, about, like, you know, suspicious activity. So already that person is a suspicious person. What are they doing there? And so it, you know, so it was kind of like making me think about, like, disposability, who, again, going back to who is disposable, who's not disposable in society, and seeing that, like, our trans, our gender nonconforming siblings are seen as disposable people. So as abolitionists, as an abolitionist healthcare worker, it is our duty to already to start intervening, because it's that person that's going to start having their stuff searched. Maybe they have, you know, something on them that they're not supposed to technically have, and then immediately the criminalization happens. So, and then, like, you know, that kind of just starts to snowball into all these lies that are being told to criminalize and to dehumanize our trans and gender nonconforming siblings. And so anyway, so I was thinking a lot about that, as, like, in the educational systems and in any kind of, whether you're in a educational institution, whether you are in a medical institution, the various roles that you play have an orientation towards the carceral system, whether it is the cop in your head that's already, like, policing people's bodies, you know, without you knowing, or if you're in a structural institution that's already policing bodies and perpetuating violence. Because any kind of dismissal of the existence of a trans or a gender nonconforming person is violence, and it has to be seen that way. So when I think about that, it's like, institutionally, what institution, what collective, what space are you in, and how are you actively participating to not only educate but root out? But then when you hold, like, positions, like real big positions of power, like I consider that being a nurse, that's a huge position of power. How am I in these larger structures not only refusing to participate in criminalizing and otherizing and dehumanizing trans and gender nonconforming, but then how am I also calling it out in the larger institutions that are even educating?
Thank you so much, Jamie. This is such incredible conversation and discourse, and y'all are bringing to light so much information that I haven't even been aware of as myself. So I'm just really grateful to y'all sharing all of this information. I know we're short on time. There's so many more questions I want to ask and just talk with y'all out and about and through. But for the sake of time, for the respect of your time and capacity too, I want to start closing us out. I see that New Diamond has been throwing this Eventbrite link in the chat, and I've been made aware that there's a couple events that are happening. So I want to open the floor to talk about Trans Remembrance Day and then the gala as well. New Diamond, the floor is yours. Anybody else who's got some information on when and where these events are happening, and who it's all open to, that would be great.
Okay, so I'm gonna get mine over with. I've been talking all evening, but no, this here is UWC. Those who haven't heard of UWC, it's, excuse me, Unique Women's Coalition, which is talk that the name will be changing in the near future. And that means it could be a year, 2, 3 from now, whenever, to be more of TGI, you know, inclusive. But it is founded. It's the only and owned, a nonprofit owned by a Black trans woman in Los Angeles. And it does services just like the Latina Coalition that's on Wilshire, but this is Black owned, Black Ms. Shayla Demuir. And it is our 25th anniversary celebration being in existence. So I've been asked and booked, okay, booked. Let me use that word booked. I've been booked to perform at this gala event on the 19th. And it says from 6 until 10 o'clock p.m. The tickets are free. So you ain't got to pay. It's gonna be a lot of fabulous trans women singers, trans men speakers, dance floor. I'm sure they're gonna have some kind of red carpet or some kind of carpet out. It is dressed up, sharp, spice, fire, attire, fire attire. There we go, fire attire. And there's gonna be food, of course. Black folks, we don't do anything without food, so it's going to be food. But this is a dress-up event, and anyone can come. Anyone's invited. You can RSVP how many people you want. They just want to have a count. Okay, so I know that my personal friends will be sitting at my table. If you want to sit in the vicinity, then I can have them reserve me, let me know personally, and I'll just, add you to my table, or they may have to make 2 tables for me. I don't know. But anyway, there are no assigned seats other than reserved, but it's free. Okay. And it's going to be fabulous. It's a celebration. And so, if you got nothing else to do, then, put on your best and, come on out and then celebrate with us. And so with UWC, you can go to the website itself. If you look up Unique Women's, not women's, but women's, Unique Women's Coalition. The office is actually located on Martell Avenue, which is in West Hollywood. But this event is going to be on Wilshire Boulevard, but which is the link. If you hit that link I put in the chat, it takes you to that. So if you somehow missed the link, just go to their website, which is again UWC, Unique Women's Coalition. Google it and then go to their website or their Instagram. There we go. Thank you. And you will see the event. You will see, well, they have a lot of things there. Look for the gala and click on that. And then you can, RSVP your tickets and come on out and celebrate with us. And also you get to see me perform, and I'm gonna shut it down. So so that's my announcement.
Thank you so much. And do we have anyone who can talk a bit about Trans Remembrance Day that's upcoming? The event happening at LA Can?
Yeah, that might have been Serena. But I think yeah, do we have a date for that? I think we do.
Okay, well then I believe it's November 20th. I thought Monique was on the call a moment ago, but looks like she made it gone. November 20th at Los Angeles Community Action Network in Skid Row, downtown LA. I think some more details about the time will come up soon. But stay tuned on our emailing list. I'm sure all that information will be shared. Stay tuned on our website and social media. That will also be shared there. Yeah. Does anyone have final remarks? I know we passed the 7:45 mark, y'all, but anybody just want to share final remarks before we close out?
Go through the City Hall if you're local in LA tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Yes, good plug. Good plug. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, that City Council remains, consistent and steadfast in its illegitimate council meetings. We will be there at 9 a.m. So pull up. Don't let them silence us. Okay, I just want to thank y'all so much. Thank you, Tsukuru. Thank you, New Diamond. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, everybody on the call. Y'all have been really great. I'm sorry, my roommate's cooking. That's the sizzling you hear in the back. I'd be remiss not to mention the fact that my organization, the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, along with BLMP, the Black LGBTQIA plus Migrant Project, and several other Black migrant organizations just put out a report in which we detail the fact that Black migrants who are non-binary experience 3.5 times more abuse in detention centers than any other Black immigrant communities and communities in general, right? So this targeting and harassment and abuse and hate against trans communities is consistent all throughout, right? At all levels, we're experiencing this. So I just want to thank you all. I wanted to uplift that, but I really wanted to thank you all for engaging us in dialogue. And yeah, thank you. Thank you, Monique, for helping set up this great conversation. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, hit us up. That's all. Have a great rest of your evening, folks.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
very
Thank you for
much.
having us. Thank you.
Good night. Please keep in touch. Thank you.